Section 9.2.13. Determine the point estimate of the population mean and margin of error for the confidence interval, where the lower bound is 23 and the upper bound is 25. Okay, so the point estimate is the value of a statistic that estimates the value of a parameter. For example, the sample mean, x bar, is a point estimate of the population mean, mu. Now, confidence interval estimates for the population mean are of the following form, shown below. The point estimate is equal to plus or minus the margin of error. So that means that the point estimate x bar could either be plus or minus the margin of error. Okay, thus the point estimate of the population mean should be in the middle of the confidence interval. So the first thing we're going to do is, if it's in the middle, then we need to find the average of the lower bound and the upper bound. So that means that we're going to take x bar, and that's going to equal the lower bound plus the upper bound divided by 2. So we know that we have 23 plus 25, and then we're going to divide that by 2. So that gives us 48 divided by 2, so we can say that the point estimate for the mean is going to be 24. Okay, so now the margin of error of a confidence interval estimate of a parameter is a measure of how accurate the point estimate is. So what we want to do is we want to solve the equation for the upper bound of the confidence interval for the margin of error E. So what we can do is, we know that the point estimate plus the margin of error is going to equal, in this case, the upper bound. Or we could use the margin of error minus, the sample mean minus the margin of error, and that's equal to the lower bound. So let's go ahead and do both. So we know that the point estimate is 24 plus the margin of error, and we know that the upper bound is 25. So in order to solve for margin of error, we're going to subtract 24 to both sides. And so therefore, the margin of error is going to equal 1. Or if we did this by subtracting the margin of error using the lower bound, this is 24 minus the margin of error, which is equal to the lower bound, which is 23. So if we subtract 24 to both sides, then we get negative E, which is equal to negative 1. And if we divide both sides by that negative, then we get the margin of error to be 1. So either or you can go ahead and do. So therefore, we found the point estimate to be 24, and we saw that the margin of error of the confidence interval is 1.